Good morning, good Saturday morning. Thank each and every one of you for joining us this morning as we wait on our guest who's having some technical difficulties getting in. But this morning, you're joining us on Real Stories, Real People, where we bring guests on to share their story, to share something that they went through that may help someone else be a better person or it may uplift someone else. So we thank you for joining us as we have a special guest this morning, all the way from Charlottesville, North Carolina, who went through domestic abuse and violence. She'll be joining us just as soon as we iron out the technical difficulties and set back, start your breakfast, start your house cleaning, get your coffee, grab a bagel, grab a donut, or whatever you do to get your morning started. We thank you for joining us as we are Real Stories, Real People, coming to you live this morning on this Saturday morning as we are waiting on our guest to kick it off. She's trying to get back in the studio.
Real stories, real people. Brand new talk show hosted by me, Raymond Matthews. Tune in to hear amazing stories about men and women who went through a crisis or situation in their life. Now they're trying to tell their story to help others and encourage someone to turn their life around, to make a difference in their life. Tune in. Real stories, real people.
So here we are. We are back. Real stories, real people. Amazing stories, amazing testimonies, amazing things that or situations that individuals done in their life to help someone else conquer what they may be going through. So if you know anyone that has a story, or even if you have a story, reach out to us. We're on Facebook at Real Stories, Real People. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Real Stories, Real People. We're waiting on our guest to work through her difficulties.
Real stories, real people. Brand new talk show hosted by me, Raymond Matthews. Tune in to hear amazing stories about men and women who went through a crisis or situation in their life. Now they're trying to tell their story to help others and encourage someone to turn their life around, to make a difference in their life. Tune in. Real stories, real people.
Again, we want to thank you for joining us this morning. As you know, whenever you're trying to get a good story out, whenever you're trying to get some good information out, it's always a, a problem is going to occur to try to keep that information from going forward. But again, we're here at Real Stories, Real People. Thank you for joining us this morning as we try to bring you another amazing story, as we try to uplift another person, as we try to encourage another person on Real Stories, Real People. If you know anyone that has a story or testimony that can help someone or that can uplift someone, you can reach out to us at 301 494 1270, or you can go like our Facebook page at Facebook at Real Stories, Real People. Again, Real Stories, Real People. We thank you for joining us as we trying to get our guests to get the technical situation together. As you know, whenever you're trying to bring good information, it's always something to try to hinder you from getting that good information. As we try to bring you another real story, real people on this Saturday morning. Don't forget, if you have a story, if you know someone that have a story, you can reach out to us on our Facebook page at Real Stories, Real People, or you can call us at 301 that where our guest finally joined us. We're live, and the technical try to keep us from bringing this amazing story this morning. We have Miss Diane, may say you're wrong, back last name wrong, but don't hold it against me. Hauser, from all the way from Charlottesville, North Carolina. Welcome, 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 welcome to Real Stories.
Good morning, and it's Dina House.
Dina,
It's
Dina.
okay.
Okay, I apologize, Miss Dina House. All I need
No
to do is
problem,
hear it.
no problem.
I
Listen,
got
the
it
devil is
down.
really working this morning because he didn't want us to be on this morning.
I said, so we welcome you. We thank you, Miss Dina. I got it. So, Miss Dina, introduce yourself. Tell the people where you from, what you doing, how they can get in touch with you. I like to do that starting out and ending.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. My name is Dina House. I'm born and raised in Charlotte. So I am a true Charlottean. Yay! You don't find many of us.
Woo.
um, I am a speaker for domestic violence for the Mecklenburg County, Charlotte area. I also own my own business, so I'm a life coach, transforming Black women, giving them coaching tips to give them hope for coming out of domestic violence and abusive relationship.
All right, all right. Woo woo. Life coach. So if anyone out there need a life coach, woo woo woo. There she is, Miss Dina. So Miss Dina, we're talking today from victim to survivor. From victim to survivor of domestic abuse and violence. And we know that's nowadays is a touchy situation. But let me, before
Yes.
you start out, let me take you back, and those that may be listening, to 1990 when we talk about domestic violence. Domestic violence. There was a guy back then in 1990 by the name of Jay Bias who was shopping in a jewelry store in Iverson Mall. The husband of a wife that worked in the jewelry store thought that Jay Bias was flirting with his wife. So later on that day, through the mall, they shopped and wound up going to the parking garage. The wife
Mm,
husband killed Jay Bias in the parking lot. So when we talking about domestic abuse and violence, that was a violent situation. Most of you know Jay Bias' brother, which was Lynn Bias.
yes. Mm-hmm.
So so when we talk about this subject here, it took me all the way back there, Miss Dana. It took me back to 1990 when it still was happening then. And to our viewers listening today, Miss Dana's going to tell you even 10, 15, 20 years later, if we don't work on these tools and this information that she's going to give us, it will continue to help us. So tell us what domestic abuse and violence looked like for you back then.
Well, first, before we start, Raymond, I want to say thank you so much for having me on and wanting me to share my story. And before I go any further, I just want our viewers and listeners to understand that the things that we're talking about today could be a trigger for you. So just be careful and make sure you take care of yourself. If you are on and you're listening to us and something is said that triggers you and you get emotional or it's just, bring back, horrible memories, would just ask you to log off and take care of yourself. Let's get that out first. Um, and it's funny that you talk about Jay Bias because Lynn Bias, I love Lynn Bias. Like he was an amazing basketball player. I love Lynn Bias, but domestic violence has been around for a long, long, long time, especially in the Black household. And, we have been taught that as we grow up, that what goes on in this house stays in this house. So a lot of the abuse between the husband and the wife or the mother and the father has just been really swept under the rug. In my case, I grew up indirectly with domestic violence and didn't know what it was because my mother was in the same situations before. So, and I would always ask the question, why? Why does it happen? Why are you still there? Why won't you just leave? And those are the questions that I think everybody asks. a victim these days instead of asking the question, why is the abuser doing what he's doing?
So that's amazing that you talked about triggers, because someone may be listening that, you may not know what this look like. You may not understand what is domestic violence. I remember years ago I was in a relationship, they said it was abuse, verbal abuse. I like, how can you verbal abuse somebody? You ain't touch them, you ain't put your hands on them. So I have learned that that's even more probably traumatic than domestic violence or verbal. You know what I mean? So when Miss
And that
Dina,
is
when
correct, right?
uh-huh. So when is it time to get out? When is it you think it's time to quit? I mean, how will we know a sign or even help someone today that, like you said, that may be going through this? When is it a time to get right out right then and there? Don't wait, because it could become violent.
Well, before I get into that, right, let me say this. First and foremost, let me give you a little background, some stats. 3 women will be abused in a situation in a lifetime. Also, 3 women, as we've been speaking for about maybe 12 minutes. So there has already been at least 4 women killed already because by their intimate partner. One girls and 1 in 3 young boys by the time they get 18, they be in either abuser or abused. So let's just get that perspective. And a lot of people, we go back to the question of what does domestic violence or domestic abuse look like? It looks like me. It looks like you. So in you was you having told that you was a verbal abuser. That's how it started with me. Verbally, emotionally, and
You're going in and out and freezing, so your internet messing up a little bit. But you give them some
yeah.
good information. Yeah, your internet going in and out, but you give them some great information. So go back to the.
Are we good now?
Yeah, you good now. Look, so you said in 3 minutes it looked like me and you. Pick right up there. Hello.
You there? I'm sorry.
We still hear your internet just going out. You give them up some good information. We still here.
Okay, you cut off that. I'm sorry.
We still here. Again, we trying to work through this technical situation as Miss Dana's giving us some good points here.
So by the time we in this sit and talking within 13.
You're going in and out, so your internet
Oh
going in and
wow.
out. The devil trying not to let this good information go forward, but we're gonna work through it.
Oh, how about that?
Now you're freezing up. Your internet going in and out or something. But the devil don't want this information to go forward. So y'all just bear with us while we try to work through this technical difficulties. We gonna keep bringing this good story.
Real stories, real people. Brand new talk show hosted by me.
So we trying to get through this internet process. Miss Dina, are you still with us? She's gonna go out and come back in again. We talking about domestic abuse and violence, bringing you a great story that someone out there may need help with or may not see what domestic violence or domestic abuse look like. She's gonna go out and come back in, Charmaine. Thank you. We whenever you try to bring a good story together, you can see that someone somewhere need to hear this story, and of course, that someone somewhere don't want the story to go forth. So we're gonna If you just hold on with us for a minute, we're going to bring her right back.
Real stories, real people. Brand new talk show hosted by me, Raymond Matthews. Tune in to hear amazing stories about men and women who went through a crisis or situation in their life. Now they're trying to tell their story to help others and encourage someone to turn their life around, to make a difference in their life. Tune in. Real stories, real people.
We're right back at you as we try to work through some technical difficulties this morning. We appreciate your patience as we talking about domestic abuse and violence with Miss Dina. She's clicking back in now. So welcome back. Welcome back.
Whoa, okay. I don't know what happened. This is woo, really? Is this a little better?
It's a whole lot better, Miss Dina. A whole lot better.
Okay.
Again, we thank you that somebody don't want this to go forward. So you was talking to us about every 3 minutes something happened to someone. Come on, pick back up.
Yes. Basically what I was saying is, as we are talking, 3 women have already been killed by an intimate partner for doing from domestic violence. So, and you were asking me as far as like, how do you know when it's time to move out? So before I answer that, people need to realize that, you know, a lot of people say, never me. That would never happen to me. A lot of my friends, a lot of my family is like, I can't believe he did that. Why you didn't do X, Y, Z? Why you didn't listen to him? Why you didn't do that? That's a lot of gaslighting. And gaslighting is basically something that just builds up to the abuse. It never starts out as abuse. You always think it's kind of cute. Right. This guy, I was so in love with this guy. I was really in love with him. And I just felt like that, you know, he was going to be my husband. You know that honeymoon phase, right, man? We get in love and we are blinded by it. And, you know, things just happen. And it's just like, we moved in with each other. And the things that I thought were cute, he would call and check on me. I thought it was cute. Where are you at? What you doing? Where you been? I thought it was cute, but in the long run, Raymond, it started to become very verbal abusive. Mm-hmm. And when you get to the point of going from, it's like a buildup. You know, every relationship has a buildup. When you're in a relationship, you have the honeymoon phase. Everything is lovey-dovey, and you think he's cute, and you're going places, you're doing things, and then all of a sudden, all the signs you thought were not signs are there.
Yeah.
So how does it get to the point where you want to leave? Well, Raymond, as known facts, it takes a victim at least 7 times to leave a relationship before they actually leave. In my case, it took me about 5 or 6 times because I thought he needed me. I thought he needed me to help him move along in life when actually I was kidding myself. So it gets to a point where, not that you're tired of being tired, because a lot of people say eventually you'll get tired. You'll get tired of being tired. And it's not really that. It's at a point where you realize that it's either I'm going to die or I'm going to survive. And that's basically what it comes down to. My breaking point. Now, before I tell the story, let me just give our viewers a warning. This is a trigger. So I just want to let our viewers understand that what I'm about to say is very detailed and it may trigger someone. So if you are in a position where you need to log off, then go ahead. We understand. But my breaking point was where my abuser, I would not give him the pleasure of saying his name in public anymore. Because it's about me. It's all about me now and me surviving. So my breaking point was he came home late one evening. He was drunk. and possibly having using drugs. And in this incident, he basically, in a better lack of words, kidnapped me in my own home. He barricaded me in. I tried to get away. It was a lot of pushing, a lot of shoving, a lot of hitting, mostly on his part. And I tried to defend myself. And it just came to a point where I was locked in a bathroom, in a dark bathroom, and I couldn't see my way out. I didn't know if he had weapons. All I know is that he had his hand around my throat. And I was kicking and screaming and trying to get away. Um, and eventually I did, because I ended up um, hitting him in his man parts, for lack of better words. Um, and I eventually got away. Now, I say that to say a lot of things will go on in that situation. In domestic violence, you have drugs, alcohol, financial reasons. You have a lot of things that prevent someone from leaving. I end up calling the police. The police came, and we have to. There are more resources out here that are trying to train our police officers, because at this point they were going to arrest me, even though I had documentations, had a paper trail of how many times I've called the police, and all
They
these
didn't want
things.
none of that.
No, they didn't want it. The only thing that the police officer was saying is that she kept saying, "Why didn't you run? Why didn't you just run out?" And she was stating that because I pushed him and he hit his head on the wall, that was not self-defense.
Mm.
So it's more like we have to learn how to get these resources out, not only to the victims to become survivors, but also to the authorities as well.
It makes sense that you touched on one point, like you said, when the police is called to a situation like you're speaking of. We're talking about domestic abuse and violence, and it makes you become the victim. So my question for the viewer, Miss Dina, this morning is, you know, as you think about, like you say, you're about to go forward. It's all about you now. Does that does that pass going through this situation? How do it look in the next relationship? Will it be a thought? Will it be something that we will always, of course, we will always have it in our mind, but will it affect the love, the like, and all the other hashtag words that go with it? And what I'm really trying to get the viewers to see is it's just knowing when to get out, like you said, knowing the trigger, knowing to get out. But when you get to that next relationship, do you hold back knowing that it could get like that?
Raymond, good question. Yes, you hold back, and no will never leave you. Domestic violence and abuse is always in the back of your mind. There will always be little triggers, but that's where the self-healing comes in, because then once you able to, one, get out safely,
Mm-hmm.
and you're able to, get your life back on track, then you start the self-healing, because you start blaming yourself. Because I blame myself. I was embarrassed. I was everything. And you start the healing. So once you start the healing process, you get to learn yourself a whole lot better. So getting into another relationship, it's just like with any other relationship. You don't carry baggage from one relationship to the other. So therefore, when you do start doing self-healing, doing self-reflection, then you understand, hey, I've seen this before. I'm not going to blame you for what he did, but hey, I've seen this before, and I'm not going to let this go down like this.
I hear you. I hear you. Lulu asked a question. How did you heal from this, and how long did that take you? How did you heal from it, and how long did it take?
Well, Lulu, thank you for the question. I'm still healing. I'm still healing. I've been out of this domestic abuse relationship For come July, it would be 6 years. So doing the process, it is nothing but God. I don't know if you're a believer, if you are a faith, you have faith, but it was nothing but God. During the times where he was abusive, verbally and emotionally, I would just start singing hymns in my head. My spiritual walk became very strong. I was more into the Bible, and because I was raised in the church, I was more into the Bible and reciting a lot of scriptures. And my favorite one is Psalms 23, because I lack nothing. So that's how. But the healing is every day and it's still ongoing.
Wow. And to tie that up, the question came about again is, what are some examples of self healing? How can you help someone out there that may be listening, that may go back and listen later on? What are some examples of self healing?
Some examples of self healing is basically crying. Give yourself room to cry. Some people may say crying is weak, but crying makes you stronger. It cleanses your soul. Finding things that make you happy. When I say finding things that make you happy, spending time with family, spending time with friends, spend time alone, get to know your demons. And when I say get to know your demons, a lot of people is like, I can't be alone. I don't know how people do it. It's like, you understand, if you like a movie, I love movies. I'm a movie buff. Then spend time with yourself, watch a movie, something that you would never think that you would even like. You might like it. Paint your nails, go take a walk outside. Those are self-healing. I mean, people take life for granted because we all trying to work, school, take care of
Right.
kids, take care of everybody else. But just walking outside to your car and stopping and taking a couple of breaths, that's self-healing.
Wow. What amazing. What amazing. Self healing. To our viewers, we appreciate you listening in. We're talking this morning about domestic abuse and violence. So, Miss Dana, I did some research on you, as I always do when I connect to people like you, that's positive people, that your story can make a difference. That's what this podcast is all about. It's going out getting any story. It don't have to be a certain story. But one thing that caught my attention at 3 o'clock this morning when I was looking into how to let your story help someone out there, is something that's coming up this Tuesday. This Tuesday is it's Wear Orange on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can help some young person, now we're going to switch it up to let you know that domestic abuse and violence can start early. So I was strolling and this big orange thing popped up. As you know, it says this Tuesday is to Wear Orange Day. Can you tell our viewers why that day is so special to you and so many others around the world?
Yes, and Raymond, before I do that, I just want to give out some tips. If if you find yourself in a domestic violence situation, or you know someone is, don't stand by, stand up. Call 911 first. And before we leave, Raymond, for Tuesday, for the month of February, is Teen Dating Violence Awareness. So this is for any teen who is going through any type of abuse. You can reach out. Let me give you the national domestic violence hotline. It's 1-800-799-7233. If you're in the Charlotte area, in Mecklenburg County, there is this company that I am a great supporter of, which is Safe Alliance. And their hope line is 980-771-4673.
So so that's so important this week. So anybody listen, make sure you put a piece of orange on. And even this whole month, it's all about what we're talking about now. We're talking about real stories, real people, but it's nothing like if you wear orange on Tuesday, someone that understands what this is
Yes,
all about,
yes.
they're gonna know that you praying for them. They're gonna know that you're aware of what they're going through. And that that orange may not only that, it may uplift someone and just seeing you with orange on a Tuesday, So please support domestic abuse violence this whole month, but especially on Tuesday, grab a piece of orange. So Miss Dina, of course, I have domestic violence speaker bureau up there. Tell people how they can get in touch with you if someone want to reach out to you and someone want to just, it may be someone that's may not see that they're in a domestic abuse or violence situation, but someone from the outside can see it. I tell people I've been married 3 times, and they more so we all are good friends now, thank God. But they said I was more verbal abuse because I just was a workaholic. I work from sun up to sundown, so I do physical labor, which is auto detailing. So when you get home, you don't want to do nothing. You don't want to sleep.
Right?
But I missed the most important points of that the things that you're talking about when you first started out, that beginning that pulled the women in, that beginning that pulled them in. They were so used to that beginning, but at the same time, I was more looking at this is how I got to survive to take care of my family. So through them, I learned through them years. I learned, and I had a chance to look back and, like you say, thought about me for a minute and look at the situations I was in. So as our viewers are listening, as we try to get to the final question. And I know you're amazing that can answer this question because I got in touch with you. It was like out of the blue. You didn't know how, but God always connect people that you need to hear from. So domestic violence having to have you on here in the month of February. Them are not coincidence that you just so often had. Lulu was saying it may also let them know you are a safe place for them. You're so right, Lulu. But the most important part, Miss Dina, is when a person think about domestic abuse and violence, as for most of you that may have missed it, but you caught that story about Len By's brother, Jay By's. I was in high school at that time, and I hooked school every day to follow that case and not paying attention to the violence part, not paying attention to the domestic part. The only thing I could think of is how do you get killed for going to a jewelry store in the mall? And then after reading later on, the guy that killed him, wife was the teller at the jewelry store. So my question is, after saying all that, is when you think about domestic abuse and violence to a female or to a male out there, when that pattern starts to change, should we question it then or wait? Because I think in my situations, I think the more they was telling me the right thing to listen to, the right thing to say, I was more on, I'm so tired. What you're saying is not even, I hear it, but I'm not receiving it. You follow me? So
yes,
when you
I
think
do.
about that, like I told most people, it was more verbal abuse. They said it wasn't no physical violence, but I'm thinking I'm just tired, so I'm not really confident of what I'm doing. So help our viewers understand that when that pattern start to change, when you stop getting that morning call when you're at work, when you stop getting them roses every 3 months, 2 months, or whatever it may be, when you stop getting that, let's take a walk around the park.
Sure. Well, Raymond, it's kind of hard to identify if you don't know your self-worth. Let's start there, because you said, like, in your situation, you were saying, you were thinking, what I'm doing is not verbal abuse. Right. Now, with my abuser, to this day, his words is, I didn't do anything to you. I'm not an abuser. You're crazy. I don't know how you thought of that. But when you think about the honeymoon phase, and then you think about the explosions, and you think about how you being spoke to and how you being disrespected, those are the things, even though we're going to use your case, for example, even though you come home at night and you just throw your stuff on the floor, and then you just expect me to have dinner waiting for you because, like you said, it was a labor job. So all these things you're expecting, those are the things that could be abusive to someone. So it's kind of hard to recognize that if you don't understand your own self-worth. You understand what I mean?
Right, you making a lot of sense. You tied it in. I appreciate you using me because I learned, like you just said, it was the same pattern every day. It might have changed because I'm a football fan, so it might have changed on that Sunday or if a game came on that Saturday. But normally it was the same exact pattern. Good morning, Gwen. It was the same exact pattern, and like you saying, I'm not looking at it as verbal abuse or whatever, or not showing you any attention or not paying you any mind. I'm just knowing that the way that I was taught, and it was old school. If a man take care of his home, the wife gonna be happy, or the friend gonna be happy. But little did I learn later on in life that the more you go through, I was so caught up in working, I thought that was the way to go back to what you were saying about this is the way it's supposed to be about my routine. Because most people we meet them with our own routine. So when you meet me, I was always a business owner. My routine was always the same. If it's 90 degrees outside, you can't plan for Raymond to do something at 5 o'clock because he may be cleaning the car to make $200. But
right.
I didn't look at that, and like Lulu said, there is a different level for this for sure, which it is, Lulu. And I always thought, Dina and Lulu, that, and everybody else listening, what I was doing was I was supplying for my family. Now later on in life, I was thinking it was gonna all come together, and that once I get to where I'm at now, a little older, now I'm a little more slower. So now you can understand the walking in the park. Let's just jump in the car and take a ride out on Saturday. I didn't do none of that. Let's go hold hands and walk around the park. I didn't do none of that. I thought really people don't hold no hands. That ain't, but them kind of things is that I learned that's that beginning structure you talked about, Dina. That's that normal that the lady got used to or the man got used to. That's that normal that people started to really say, "Dad, this is the guy for me." This is let's go get married. That's that step. But if I wasn't ready in my mind, not saying ready, not love and that, but I'm saying you didn't start working any harder. Right. You didn't change up just a little bit. You know what I mean? And so later on down the road, as I look back at all three of them, I even call them sometime and ask them, what about this situation, just to see their response. Because like you said, it's different for everybody. I was young then, and I was more like, I was more like, I'm supplying for the family. Let me supply for the family the first 20 years. And the next 20 years, we'll live happily ever after. That's no more of that. It's no more of that. Like you said, it's hard to see it. And even in my situation, I didn't see it. And that's what tracked me to your story. And that's what tracked me to knowing about this orange. Because when you're young, when you're a teenager, you go through
so many stages. Yes. When you're a teenager, you think, oh, the world is going to end if I can't have this person in my life. I know, I've been there. You feel like that, mom and dad don't understand. Nobody understand. I would never have another boyfriend. I would never have another girlfriend. This is it. The world is going to end. Right. But you make a good point on some things, as far as, wearing the orange on Tuesday and being a teenager. I can remember my high school sweetheart. He was not abusive at all, thank God. But but I can remember things were starting to get to that point to where he was changing. The situation was changing. And if you feel like that, this is the only love that you will ever get in your life at 17 years old, then I think, we need to provide more services and more resources to let people know that you are loved by many, many people. And you have so many things to gravitate to. There's so many things that, we look past as far as our talents and people who we mentor, and like Lynn Bias. I love Lynn Bias. I was in high school, junior high school. So, things like that. I also want to point out some more resources as far as gravitating towards Black women, because this is what I am passionate about, is helping our Black women. Because as I have Are you still there?
You still there? I'm just yeah.
Okay. Um, I have done 3 speaking engagements through the Charlotte Mecklenburg Speakers Bureau. I've done one at the Southeastern Massage Therapist School. And when I was there, it was predominantly Black women in the audience. It was a small group, but it was this one young lady that stood out to me. Um, and she sat like this the whole time, just had a real frown on her face, and her arms were folded. And the whole time, when I was telling my story, and I had my um, coordinator with me, Alex from the Charlotte Mecklenburg Domestic Violence Speaker Bureau, he was with me, and he would tap me on my leg, and that would kind of give me a clue to kind of move on to something else because he thought she was being triggered. Right. But everything I said, she was like, not me. Not me. And that's okay. Right. So at the end of our speaking engagement, we have resources that we provide, such as pens and any kind of bracelets or anything that they can take with them, and phone numbers we provide for them. And this young lady at the end, she left out. She wouldn't take anything. She wouldn't do anything. By the time we packed up and got to the car, Raymond, she came to me and she asked me for a pen. Sometimes, and I say all that to say, sometimes we as Black women don't trust each other with this information because we feel like that we're going to run and tell the wrong people. And then sometimes you have to trust that what you're saying goes over and it moves someone, like me speaking to the audience today, that something is moved, something is said that lets you know that you're not alone. You're not alone in this situation. There is hope for this situation. I have a good friend. Her name is Melody Cross. Gross, I apologize. She has this company which is called Courageous Shift. She also has a fund which is called the Eva Lee Parker Fund. This fund is for Black women. She, of course, catered to Black women as well, that will assist you with financial assistance getting out of a domestic violence situation. Because we miss that part. A lot of us Black women stay, I would say all women stay, because of religious beliefs. They have no money. The person, and let me just say this. I know that we're speaking about, I keep saying women, but let's not forget men are in this situation as well. So she provides, with this fund, she provides like car maintenance, gas, stuff that you would not think about that someone would say that's in an abusive relationship. I can't leave because I don't have the money.
Right. Hey, that's great. Lulu says something that makes a lot of sense now. Help us with this question. Help us with this statement. Or Lulu says there are a lot of young people who feel that they are not loved if they are not being abused by their partner. They got used to that. You know, I think that's what Lulu's trying to say. So if a person is used to boyfriend, you know, they start out elbowing. You know how that happens. You know, so when we think about the young people, like, you know, like I said, I started, you know, when I really clamped down and got focused. I didn't have my first sons till 35, so I was finished running. But that, you know, when you talk about that, the young people, you know, which is we see nowadays, we see more abuse. We see more, like you saying, it's that more. He buy for me, you know, it could be the material thing. He buy for me, so I'm not leaving him. Girl, you crazy. I ain't leaving him. Boy, you crazy. Or, you know what I mean? Boy, you should leave her. She only wants your money. We hear that. Does that, you think, play a part in domestic abuse and violence? Because the guy not going to leave because the girl may support him. The girl not going to leave because the guy may support her. You follow what I'm saying? You know, and as you use me as an example, see, I was feeling as though I was always the provider. So working hard, I didn't really look at verbal abuse, domestic abuse, or violence, because first I wasn't going to be violent because I'm going to go to work. if it looked like it was gonna violate, I'm not gonna be violent because I'm not gonna get home till 9 or 10 at night. So I'm gonna do the like we just talked about. It's gonna be that routine. And like you saying that I learned just listening to you and listening to Lulu and everyone else listening, that becomes verbal, that becomes an abuse in its own self because now it looks like go back to what you just said. Well, maybe he here because I'm helping him pay the bills. Maybe he here because he doing everything else, but he just sleep here. You know the old term. Or maybe she's here because she just sleeping. I don't ever see you. I only see you when you come to go to sleep here. So those are the little steps we're talking about. You know what I mean? Lulu want to know how can we tap into her friend's organization. Lulu want to get some information on your organization. So I'm gonna try to. If you put it in the private chat, I can put it on the stream to like your girlfriend organization because this Saturday morning conversation that you can see Dina, Lulu, everyone listening, it done open up some eyes. And, okay, so Lulu asked a question that and this is my specialty. Thank you for asking that, Lulu. I do more prison ministry, so my focus try to be there. Lulu asked a question that is, what about someone in prison and their own home with someone who they think truly loved them? What about if someone that's in prison and they write home, they call home, the fiance or the male answer the phone all the time, and are they in their mind they thinking that's love? Is that right, Lulu? What we're trying to say? What about that person that's in their own home with someone that think they truly love them? She's saying there are people who are prisoners in their own home. So
That's
what
true.
she's saying is there are people that's really prisoners in their own home. So like we just said, I'm just coming there to sleep. So, but that time that you sleeping there, you become more of a prisoner because you're not talking, you're not moving, you're not saying nothing, you're not doing nothing with their abuser. She said there are people who are prisoners in their own home with their abuser. And like you were just saying.
It's good that she brought that up because now that the pandemic is going on, and we are kind of, I don't know how it is in Maryland, but in North Carolina we have a curfew. So our curfew is from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. I believe, or 6 a.m. one of those. But before, when our governor shut down our state, excuse me, that the numbers for domestic violence went up. They were more. We were very concerned about the safety of children because the schools were closed, and some kids go to school and that's their safety. That's their only meal. So you have that as far as people being prisoners in their own home. And they have nowhere to go. They have no outlet, even with the abuser. The abuser, can't go XYZ to get away from all the things that are happening in the house. And the only thing that I can say to that is just find a way to try to reach out to someone, anyone, a friend, a colleague. There are a lot of workplaces now that where they have employment assistance program. I know in my situation, I reached out to my manager. Actually, she came to me because of one day or something had happened and I wasn't my usual self. And she kind of pulled me to the side, to ask me, not get in my business, because a lot of us Black women think that if somebody's asking us questions, they're trying to get in our business or be nosy. But just to say, hey, this is a safe outlet. And Lulu, I think you said before that you wanted me to say, yes, I am a safe outlet. My name is Dina, Dina. Last name is House, HOWZ as in zebra E, on all platforms. You can look me up on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I am a safe outlet, and whatever you say to me is confidential. but I take this very, very seriously. This is nothing to play with. So going back to the workplace, yes, you can reach out, and there's a lot of workplaces now that does it more than ever. We just had a town hall meeting with my company, and he was our president was very adamant about mental health, domestic violence, and just making sure that the resources are there. But when you're in a situation, Raymond, and you don't want to hear all that, you don't want to hear there are people you can reach out to. You don't want to
Right.
hear just pray about it. You don't want to hear let God handle it. You don't want to hear none of that. You're scared. You're scared
Right.
for your life. You're scared for your children. You're scared that you're going to be alone. You're scared that, you know, no one is ever going to love you again because of those scars, visible and invisible. You are sitting here with a black eye, or you have blood running down your face. All of these things that I'm saying matters nothing at all.
Right.
The first thing you have to do is find safety. Find somewhere, somehow, safety. So I hope that answers your question, Lulu.
And it did, and Lulu capped it off with saying, I cannot be the example because most of these people are afraid for their lives, have been mentally conditioned because of the length of time that they have been being both mentally and physically abused. And you just topped all that off, Dina, by just telling them, you have to find a safe space. You have to find a way to get out. You have to have a friend who have to take, you have to have the person that you can depend on and trust, like you just said. Let me see what Lulu's saying here. Right. Wow. See, Lulu say she had a friend that had to take jail time, to save her life.
Mm.
That's so, you know, and the child, had to be 14 protective service. So if you're listening out there, if you not sure, if you know the symptoms, if you not sure, you can reach out to Dana. You can get to me and I get your information, or you can go to, I have Melanie Gross information up on the screen. Reach out. What Melanie does is she help support people like Lulu just talked about. They had to go take jail time just to be able to say she can be comfortable. And these are the situations that we're dealing with. So then again, we thank you for your wonderful time. We continue to ask each and every person to, don't forget, if you reach out to Charlottesville Domestic Violence Speaking Bureau, that's a quicker way to get in touch with Dina. If you can't get in touch with her on Facebook or something else, but reach out to me and I'll connect you to her. Again, find a safe space. This morning we was talking about domestic abuse and violence. Hope that this helps someone. Hope that
Yes.
that this starts the conversation. Most of the time when I do a real story, real people, it's all about just starting the conversation. It's all about getting to your teens, getting to your youth, just having a conversation with them. So we thank each and every one of you for joining us. Be safe. Have a wonderful Saturday. And we'll see you back here next Saturday with another amazing story. Dina, any final word? Give your shout out again to how they can get in touch with you.
Thank you so much, Raymond, for having me, and thank you, Lulu, and everyone else that tuned in. Um, Again, my name is Dina, spelled D as in David, INA. Last name is House, HOW, Z as in Zebra E, on all platforms. Just put it in and look me up. Don't forget, you can go to safealliance.org for all their resources and all of their services as well. Stay safe, guys.
Everybody have a wonderful day.